Unmute the microphone. It's Friday. It's Black Friday. It's Friday Black. It's Friday Black. It's Black Friday. So buy some stuff from a store or something, or don't do that. It doesn't matter. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. How you doing? How was Thanksgiving? How was the world? How is the world in your neck of the woods? Blah, blah, blah. Good to see everybody here. Let's see who's here in the chat. I see MD Aquatics. Ricardo. I almost said Richard. Ricardo Santiago was first to the chat. Hello, first. Happy Thanksgiving and Black Friday to everybody out there. Alien World Aquatics. Sebastian Street. Well, it'll be 11 p.m. when you go live, but I'll watch for sure. Cool. Just coming in a little bit earlier than normal today. We're starting out, and I think on a note to anybody out there, I have noticed that some people have been commenting here and there and everywhere about what is our schedule, what is going on. There will be a show on Monday. There will be a show on Friday. That's the solid part of the schedule. Mondays, I typically go 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so whatever that converts to for you. And was typically doing 3 o'clock on Fridays, but I was looking at the analytics from one of my whatevers you call it. What's the program that I use? It's called Morning Fame, and Morning Fame lets me know. Let me check my. Hold on. Let me open it up here. I'm not going to show it to you because it is proprietary, I think, with these analytics. So that I can't tell you exactly. I can't like show these analytics because it just costs money to have this program. So I'm not going to show you that because it's not free. And where did it? Oh, here it is. Publish at the right time. So now it gives me this big calendar here of like when is the right time for me to publish videos. And if you look, it's color-coded. So green is good, and then it color-codes all the way to red. So orange and yellow and all that good stuff. So you get to see all these little rainbows, rainbow spots. If I go live on a Friday at 3 o'clock, every single one of the videos on there is red, which means not good. Not good, not good, not good. The Fridays that I have done earlier are green and yellow, which means that the early Friday does better and this has nothing to do with a specific person or somebody's preference or whatnot. It literally breaks down the numbers of all of the people that watch the show or not, how long they watch it for. And that's basically how it breaks it down. It breaks it down just by anonymous information, essentially. So what we're going to try to do is do earlier Friday shows. If you want to know exactly what's going on when the show is, you can become a member on YouTube with the join button down below. I'm not requesting that anybody has the higher level of join. If you want to, you can. It's not any kind of requirement, but there's a $5 button that you can join and become a member on the channel. And through that, you can go to the community tab and you can find the Discord link and you can join up on our Discord. I always post on the Discord at least like an hour to 2 hours before the show goes live that, hey, we're going live at this time. There's a link. People can just click the link and go straight over to YouTube and know that it's going live. You can also chat with me on a regular basis. I am not always on there, but I will see stuff that gets posted up onto Discord. I don't necessarily see everything that comes up on YouTube. I don't necessarily see everything that comes up on Facebook or any of that kind of stuff, but the Discord is the spot where you can get a hold of me. We can even chat back and forth about stuff that's going on. So you can do that by joining, or you can go over to the Patreon page and join there, and that will automatically link you to the Discord. It just seems to be the best way that I've been able to work out, coordinating everything and keeping track of everything that's going on. So as far as like YouTube notifications, as far as COPPA laws go, as far as like the FTC regulations, all the stuff that is happening, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a part of any of that stuff, and whether it's good or bad or whatever, it doesn't really do much of anything because, like, if they don't promote the channel or not or any of that kind of stuff, I don't know. I don't have anything to do with the actual functionary part of YouTube, but I do monitor the Patreon and the Discord, and that's basically where I've had to put my energy because that's just kind of how it goes. Now, through the Patreon is basically how we've been able to fund getting a bunch of the stuff done, getting equipment over the years, getting stuff to be able to have like multiple microphones in here, being able to fix computers when they got broken, stuff like that. So I encourage anybody that wants to see more and more of this kind of stuff, head over to the Patreon. You can be like $1 a month, which is basically nothing. If you're getting 10 hours of stuff out of me a month, that's a pretty good return on investment. To everybody out there that has been a much bigger contributor, thank you very much. And we shall move along. We do have a guest today, so let's rage over to our guest, who is Alyssa Bentley. You can see her in the chat. She knows what's up. She's here. She's in the room, live, right over there.
Am I on the camera?
Boom. You're on the mic. You're on the camera. You're hot.
Oh my gosh.
The mic's hot. Yeah. So it is Friday. Everybody just had Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving? Was it delightful or what?
It was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Got to see some of the boyfriend's side of the family and hang out with a couple of 3 or 4-year-olds.
Uh-huh.
And a dog.
3 and 4-year-olds?
Yep.
And a dog.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I can make myself darker. Oh yeah, I can. Look at that. Let's try to balance out these cameras because we have mix and matched cameras, and I realize like how dark yours is compared to mine. So I'll make mine a little bit darker so it doesn't look all weird. Oh no, it's fine. It's just that camera sends out a really dark. I don't know. It's an old camcorder. It's the best that we could do right now. I did have another one of these little cameras, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work anymore. I don't know why.
I like to pretend it's the Cher filter, the one that keeps making Cher look like she doesn't have any wrinkles.
She doesn't have any wrinkles. Oh, I have you muted.
Oh.
That's why.
People can't hear me?
Yep. Sorry,
Aw.
guys. There you go. I had
you
to
hear
turn
me
her
now?
mic up. Yep. Yeah, sorry, I had your mic turned off on the board over here.
Oh no, now nobody can hear about how I was hanging out with small children yesterday.
You were hanging out with small children?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your Thanksgiving went well.
Mhm.
You went with your guy to their family, or?
Yeah, well, to his brother and also sister-in-law's new house, which is still like they're still barely unpacked. They just moved in like a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, that's not
yeah.
bad. Can't get mad at that.
yeah, it was a pretty good Thanksgiving.
It went well. Did
Yeah.
you have the turkey?
Yes, we had the turkey and the potatoes and let's see, we had a sweet potato pie and we also had candied yams. So we just had all the potato type things covered. I brought Brussels sprouts because that's turning into my thing. And there was like 2 kinds of rolls and pigs in a blanket and just all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
Everything that you could possibly want. Beans.
Was there bean casserole?
There was just like cooked green beans, but
Okay.
it wasn't in a casserole.
I had green bean casserole. Yeah, yesterday was like a traffic riddled nightmare for Vicky and I. We had to drive way, way, way up north
Ugh.
But overall, everything was fine. We finally had dinner. Something was going on with my aunt's oven.
Oh.
Like, it was a pretty small turkey, and she wasn't like 100% sure how long it had to be in there or something. I wasn't 100%, but it was in the oven and was not ready yet, and she kept pulling it out to temp it and stuff like that. So it was, but other than that, it was just a stupid story of driving around, which is kind of boring. So I'm not going to tell it, but I'll just say traffic. And then, we saw Vicky's family. We saw my family, so everything went well, other than the dinner was kind of late. So we were just, like, super hungry because of all that traffic and everything, and then dinner was a little bit late because we, like, fought really hard to get there by, like, 3:15.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, yeah, dinner's going to be at 3 sharp, so be there, and we're like, get there, and it's like, yeah, it's not going to be till 5 or 4:30 or something. So, but, no big deal. Everything was fine. It was fun. Olivia had a great time running around.
Oh, yeah.
There's dogs up there and all sorts of stuff. So
Sounds like a good time.
it was a good time. It was a good time, and everything was good. So I'm glad to hear yours went well. Mine went well too. We got a $10 super chat from the Fish Tank Barn, aka Mike. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. $10 puts us over the $4 mark that we would normally make from doing a show. Hot damn, we've over doubled the money.
Time to quit. Let's go.
Yep, time to go home, guys. Let's get out of here. Let's skedaddle. But thank you guys. Your super chats and your memberships and stuff like that all are really like what makes any of this possible. And I know that people have hounded on me numerous times because they're like, you do like your commercials during the show and stuff, and you're like asking about money and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what part of the world that people can do projects without money. But if those people would tell me where that part of the world is, I will move there. I would move there tomorrow.
Yeah.
100%. I would move there immediately. If there was a part of the world where you just get to do projects and you don't need to, like, pay for them in any way, shape, or form, I would move there immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think my favorite argument as to why we shouldn't pay artists any money or just pay them an exposure is that artists have the passion for it, and they would do whatever it is that they're passionate for, regardless of whether they were getting paid. And so therefore, they should just give their stuff away for free.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's how people get away with it, right?
Yep.
It's just like, yeah, you're going to make this anyhow, and then I get to watch it for free, so
yeah.
F you. Like, okay. Well, that's a drag. At least there's, like, a whole bunch of people that get it. Let me check the Patreon. I was wondering, I forgot to check it earlier because we started early. Yeah, our total Patreons, we have 256 people, and then, of course, our memberships on YouTube. They went down. They went down hard, probably because I added the other tiers.
Oh.
I bet that it probably sent out a notification to people, I would guess. If I had to wager a guess, that's what my guess would be.
I didn't get a notification.
Well, then maybe my guess would be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're probably smart. You probably have notifications turned off.
Oh, that's true. I do.
Yeah. So that would probably be my guess. Because, and I talked about this on Monday, but I was like, YouTube kept telling me to add more tiers. And I just got tired of getting the stupid emails from YouTube because, like, as a creator, like, I have to get those emails.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just send them all to the trash, even though I want to. Because sometimes they actually do have something in them that is like, oh, crap, I better read this because there's some kind of big change happening.
Right.
Like right now you have to, like every YouTube video you have to go through and say that it's not for kids. Right?
Yep.
Because my videos are not for kids. My videos are for people from the ages. Hold on. How do they put it? Let me see how YouTube. I don't want to, where is it? It's like, it's deep in the analytics, and every once in a while I can find it. Oh, here we go. Man, I found it quick. So 18 to 24-year-olds is 13% of the audience. How's that? 13%. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
25 to 34 is 38.1% of the audience. That's
Sounds
a big.
legit.
It's a big chunk. And 35 to 44 is 29%.
Okay.
So the biggest part of our audience is from the ages of 25 to 54.
That makes perfect sense. People who have the
We have
time and the
we have a tiny amount of people 55 to 64, like 5%, which is still cool.
yeah.
A microscopic amount of 65-year-olds that are over 65. But the mainstay of the people in these videos are for people just in the, you're an adult, and that's pretty much it. Because the age 13 to 17, 0.0%. Like, my videos are not made for kids. This is not why I'm here. It's not why I'm on YouTube, so I'm not really that worried about that kind of stuff. But, I still have to get those emails. And those emails, they kept sending me to make more tiers, make more tiers, make more tiers, make more tiers. And I'm like, I'm not making a bunch of members-only videos. I do have plans to do some members-only video live streams. Like, I'm going to do one next month, and I'm going to do one in January. Other than that, I don't have plans to do it in the future, right? But that, like, I don't want to have to do all this stuff and tell people that there is a paywall, right? So I basically made a $50 tier and a $100 tier. So I was like, fine, stop bothering me about this, YouTube. And I think it pissed people off. It pissed, because we immediately lost like 5 members. Like, oh crap. So my guess was it pissed people off, but I don't know. I figured I'd ask Alyssa if it pissed her off, and she didn't even get the notification. So
Nope.
who knows?
But now that I know, I'm super mad.
Crap. I guess I was right.
Except it doesn't seem to have affected my stuff at all.
Jake D has an idea here. He says, member stream idea, cooking with Corvus. What do you think? What do you think about that idea?
I feel like your kitchen isn't set up right for that.
Well, first off, my kitchen is not set up for that.
Yeah. Because you need one of those, like, ovens in the middle of the room kind of thing.
Yeah. I certainly don't have a studio to do cooking videos.
Right.
I could build a studio to do cooking videos, like maybe at the makerspace.
Could.
Have you? So, Alyssa, you know about the idea for the makerspace. What do you think about it, and how would you how would you personally explain the makerspace to somebody that knew about fish tanks? Let's say, okay, let me put it this way: somebody that's 35 years old. Somebody who's already into fish tanks, so you don't need to explain any of that part.
Right.
Right? Like, you don't need to, it's not just like you walk up to a random person on the street.
Right.
So
they're like, you put water in
and
a
then,
box?
how would you explain with the makerspace? What would be your, I guess, interpretation or I mean, sales pitch sounds weird, but what would your interpretation be?
Well, from what I have gathered or gleaned, and this is what I would hope that the makerspace would actually be, would be that it would be a place where you could have aquariums that are set up, but which you could use as examples for other people, and possibly people can go there to work on things. Like, say you've got folks like me who need to know how to drill a hole in their tank, just as a for instance, and they can bring their tank over there and get assistance with that, or access to tools that they don't have. But I don't know, a lot of this does seem to exist in your mind, and I don't actually have the ability to read your mind. So,
Well, you can get closer to the mic. I need you to get closer. Closer. Closer.
okay.
There you go.
So,
No, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, so I think like the big thing is like we don't have any kind of public space for, and I guess like the better way to put it would be like we don't have a public space for adults to learn about the adult parts of aquariums and stuff like that, right? Like we could go up to like what's the closest zoo? Point Defiance? Is that?
oh, to here, yes.
Yeah, to here. Like Point Defiance Zoo, and we could go to like the kids like the petting pool or whatever, you know, and like all that kind of stuff, but I don't think that really helps somebody who's like 35 who's working on their aquariums and trying to figure out like a better form of filtration, or maybe they're trying to figure out which light is going to work for them and they want to actually see some real representation of it that isn't directly from like a magazine picture or something, you know,
Right.
like brought to you by CCAM. This light is super magical and it works like magic. Give us $500. And you're like, I don't want to spend $500 on a light that I've never seen anybody actually use it, because you generally speaking, you only see like an end product, right? Like, oh, we grew this tank for 6 months, and then we took a picture of it, and then you get to see the picture, and then we're like, this light works super good, but nobody, nobody really tracked the progress or knew if there was, like an algae bloom at 3 months that did something crazy. We don't really see a lot of that, and to be brutally honest, like I'm going to build the makerspace somewhere someday. Whether or not that has like any kind of public access really comes down to essentially how it's funded. If it's funded completely out of my own pocket, it's not a public space and nobody can come to it. Like that's how it's going to go. I'm not going to build a building on commercial property, right?
Right.
To like do the stuff that I want to do as far as my workshop goes. But I will move to a property someday and put up a building that will be a workshop, so, but that's not going to be open to the public, like that's not going to, that's just not going to happen. So, and that's like easy to, what'd you do?
I don't know.
Something?
I'm kicking stuff.
That's all right.
It's this.
Oh, it's an arm. That's a monitor arm.
I'm just gonna set it on the ground, you guys.
It's still chaos down here. Sorry. It's getting better, little bit by little bit. What are you doing?
My pants legs are knocking things off. I'm trying to sit close to the mic and close to everything, and then my pants legs are knocking things off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, it's kind of one of those things that, the makerspace would be a public space that we would do public things at and things like that, and be able to make a lot of videos and stuff like that, so that people that can't physically make it there would be able to see some of the videos and stuff. So let me check in with the chat. Kevin's kids are not interested in his tanks. They only have fun with the water change for some reason. That's not bad. We got a $10 super chat from Anthony Brown in the 40+ group here. Keep up with the great show. Well, thank you very much. That puts us up to $20 in super chats today, which correlates to $13 or $12 by the time YouTube steals their fair. I mean, I don't know if it's fair share. It's just is the share that they take. Is that right? 40%?
I don't know.
Yeah, they take about 40%, but who cares? I appreciate it. And I think realistically, YouTube utilizes some of their share to hopefully promote the thing that got a lot of super chats.
That'd be cool. Like, hey, people like to pay this person. Oh, that's a box.
What are you doing over there?
Eventually, apparently, my pants legs will have cleared this whole space, and then nothing else will be there to.
Yeah, it's happening over there. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I know what to do over the next week. But yeah, so what are we thinking? So I think next Friday, so we have to alternate weeks, but next week, because we want to do earlier on Fridays,
Yeah.
are we going to do earlier next week, or do we wait 3 weeks?
Oh, let's just do next week.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
So next week will be earlier, so be aware of that. That's the best I can tell people. Unless you're like on the Discord or something, then you'll just know, because it'll
And
be
then
like, oh, yeah.
If for some reason you don't like it when I'm on the live stream, you'll know that you can just ignore the next one. But if you do like it, you'll get me 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Hey, man, I like you being here, so. My coffee tastes like garbage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got like a jar of coffee out of the...
Did you get it out of the compost?
No, I got it out of the fridge. My compost smelled bad. Thanks for bringing that up. Making me feel bad. Life gets in the way of taking out the compost sometimes.
Oh, you know how you were just mentioning grown-ups at the zoo, looking at the aquarium part of the zoo?
Mm-hmm.
We were... Justin and I were just at the Seattle Aquarium recently, like a week ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. The part that I was interested in was how thick is all this acrylic? This is clearly all acrylic tanks.
Mm-hmm.
How is this all being filtered? Like, you could kind of see there was like a bubbler coming up and there was water coming out, and like there was like a trickle thing going on in a lot of the smaller enclosures. And the sad thing was there was nobody who knew that I could ask.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Like they didn't even have anybody there?
No, well, there was people there, but they just wanted to answer questions about the critters, and the critters were cool, but they're saltwater, and I was just wanting to know about the water system. And
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, do you want to touch the anemone?" And I'm like, "No."
No, I want to know what your filter's like. Yeah. There are occasionally you do see people getting some tours of the bigger aquarium, like the big public aquarium filtration and stuff like that. You just don't see it very often.
Yeah.
But I wonder, maybe I should put in a request to maybe film. I think one of the big problems is the liability and stuff for those public aquariums, you know, because, you know, I don't know if they really want people coming in there to film and then, you know, show it publicly so that people would end up seeing it later. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't know if they're actually filtering or if they're just bringing stuff in from the sound.
So
But for some of them, they
so
have
I
to
do
be.
know that the Seattle Aquarium pulls a bunch of water from the sound,
Yeah.
but it does go through a filtration process before it comes in to the actual Seattle Aquarium.
Oh, that's good.
And one of the reasons for that. So here's what's crazy. So they'll get like okay, let me explain how I know. The first thing that I know is that you can go buy salt water from the Seattle Aquarium. You get this pass, you go in through the back, and you fill up. You basically pay for salt water with this card, and it's linked to your credit card. And then you fill up like just for the explanation part, it's like a gas pump. Like you go and you fill up your tank, and it's like, oh, you took 28 gallons, you pay 10 cents a gallon or something, right, for their salt water that comes out of their salt system.
Yeah.
From the aquarium there. Now, here's the weird thing is when I know a bunch of people that do that. I don't. And for this main reason here is that they pull a lot of water out of the sound. And the way that the Puget Sound is positioned, and any city that's near the ocean, this is the case. It's San Francisco, any of that kind of stuff. When it doesn't rain here for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, which does happen, and it happens actually fairly often because it'll just drizzle here and stuff like that. It'll just be overcast for a couple weeks and not really any measurable significant rainfall. But then we'll get like a big weather system that comes through, and it washes down all of the crap that is accumulated from all of the traffic that's been going on, all that kind of stuff, and they'll get like an algae bloom in the Seattle Aquarium because all of a sudden there's a bunch of car exhaust and brake dust and all this stuff that washes down into the sound and then gets sucked back into the Seattle Aquarium. So like if you test their water, it gets these raised levels, and like it'll get like a crazy high level of calcium. It'll get like magnesium, all this kind of stuff. And it's from the pollution, it's essentially from the pollution of that. There's just people, and then it rains, and it literally just washes that all down into the sound. And that's why I never bought my water there, because you'd buy water from there, and it always had different levels of stuff.
Yeah. Variations that are easier to take when it's a giant billions and billions of gallons of water system, aka the ocean or the sound, and less easy when it's just 55 or 60 gallons or whatever that you're dealing with at home.
Yeah, it can't handle it. Your small system at home can't handle it. And by the way, the big system of the ocean, it can't handle it either. Like, for anybody just to think that like the ocean is just an endless, like it's fine.
Oh,
it's
fine.
just a
That's
system.
just where we throw our garbage.
Yeah, it's just fine. Just throw your trash in there. Anybody that thinks that is
It just
full of it.
disappears.
Shut your mouth. You're wrong.
Into the mouths and systems of whales and other things that we like. Turtles, fish. Yeah. I was looking at, and this was a while ago, but I was looking at some of the National Oceanographic America. What does NOAA stand for? I always forget. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. There we go. I always get it wrong. But I was looking at some of their readouts on some of the, the livestock numbers and things like that. And it's just getting to a point now where it's just getting to be kind of catastrophic, of the stuff that's going on in the ocean, and the acidification that's happening is monumental. And, and not to be like an alarmist or anything like that, because I was reading one of the sites that is essentially pushing the propaganda of that global warming is not real. Oh.
And one of the things that they were citing was like a Washington Post article from 1922.
Okay.
Which was, this article from 1922 was talking about how the ice caps were melting, and they were talking about like the essentially global warming in like 1922, right? That catastrophic failure was going to happen, and this and that. And what most people don't realize is that like in 1922 there was a ton of pollution and industrial pollution happening, like to a monumental degree, and yes, the environment was feeling the brunt. And so it's like, it's not even that this is new science, it's that they're critical. The way that they're being critical of it is that when people say within 10 years we're going to have a big problem, that like, oh, they've been saying that for like 100 years. Like every 10 years they say that there's only 10 years left. And then what ends up happening is that things, a lot of industries and things like that end up getting regulated, and they can't pollute as much as they did before. So then we kind of extend it, like it sort of extends, like, oh, maybe we're good for 25 years now, but then it just keeps compounding over the next 10 years. And then it's like, well, maybe we only have 10 years again.
Mm-hmm.
So for those scientists to be correct, we would somehow need to like just drive right off the cliff. Like, what's that movie with the two chicks in it that they die at the end?
Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise. They literally drive the Cadillac off the cliff.
Yep.
Like that's literally what we would have to do with the planet, and then be like, see, those scientists were correct. Like, how is that a good outcome? And a perfect example is like, when was lead in the gasoline? Lead, gasoline.
I'm going to guess 1950.
Removed. I know that it's not 1950.
Or that's when they started regulating.
What, leaded fuel?
Yeah.
No, leaded fuel, the EPA mandated that lead additive be reduced by 91% by the end of, check this out, 1986.
Oh.
Yep, they were burning lead like crazy up until 1986, essentially.
I was alive then.
And then in 1995, leaded fuel accounted for only 0.6% of total gasoline because they still allowed the sale of like restricted leaded gasoline for people that were still essentially, and I say this with air quotes, strong air quotes, they were converting their cars, which it was just literally like people that didn't want to convert their cars, or AKA like have the government. I want the government to tell me what to do with my car. You know, and you're like,
I still remember as a little kid that we stopped somewhere for gas and they had one pump that said, "We have leaded gas here in this pump over here."
Yeah.
It was in the middle of nowhere, lots of farms. I'm assuming that
It's like
there was
tractors or
farm
something.
equipment or something that needed it still. Yeah. It was the only time, and I don't know why, as a kid, I was excited to see it, like we had seen The Last Dodo or something like that.
Well, what's the weird thing with that is that it's like two of the biggest changes with removing lead from the gasoline that are like super easy to point at was like the amount of days in LA. So let me look this up. Jill is what was it? Overcast days due to leaded gasoline. So it was there was something like, let me see, faced with lead's demise in there. So the smog episodes, here we go. The smog episodes that were happening in, crap. Yes, I have an ad blocker. Fine, I'm not going to look at your stupid ad then. So how many days? Okay, so I have to look this up. The smog days. So, and by the way, the smog days in Los Angeles were like having an overcast day. So, yeah, here we go. Here's so if you do, and how many days the battle started in 1940, because there's just like so much stuff going on. How many days was it? So 284 days a year. They had what was considered overcast because of the smog in LA, right? So like the weather was warmer, but it was technically worse to live in LA versus Seattle, which is known for it being overcast and raining all the time. Now, most of us now, you know, it's like I'm almost 40, right? So the reputation my whole life has essentially been that LA is beautiful, it's just sunny all the time and that kind of stuff. But, you know, if you talk to somebody who's 60, for instance, they would be like, oh yeah, LA was a disaster in the 60s and 70s. Like it was always known as just the smog-riddled mayhem of, yes, it was like 85 degrees out and the sun was out somewhere, but it was out behind clouds of smog, right?
Yeah.
And like, so, you know, we don't even consider that stuff. But the other thing that's really marketable was the amount of violence has gone down after they took lead out of gasoline. And it's like noticeable, like of just like violent crime. And I forget the statistic, but the FBI had it where it was like crime from people that like didn't know each other is essentially how that crime statistic looks like, because they take all of the domestic violence and they take the like known interaction violence out. You know what I mean? Like if it's somebody that you knew.
Yeah, the lead they've discovered, it poisons your brain and retards your or slows your development.
But it also, like, it affects you just as an adult. Like, it affects your decision-making process and makes you generally angrier. Like if you're being exposed to lead on a daily basis,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
if it's aerosolized and you're breathing it in,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's weird stuff. But we just keep thinking that, like, oh, the ocean and the planet, it'll just keep going. And it's like, yeah, well, I guess it will just keep going. But,
Some people think that.
there's a point where it'll become uninhabitable. But I guess my whole main point is that, like, oh, these climatologists, they're all just, announcing a doomsday situation that's going to happen in like 10 years, right? And then it doesn't happen in 10 years. And it's like, well, because we have made changes based on the science.
Right.
Of like...
So we wanted to avoid the situation.
Yeah, because people are actively
working towards a better future.
Yeah, people are actively working to try and avoid driving straight off the cliff with our environment, right?
Yeah.
So... Terry's Tropical Tank says, so catalytic converters solved road rage. It didn't necessarily solve road rage, but it definitely has contributed quite a bit, to the unleaded gas, believe it or not. It's kind of weird. That was an additional side effect that nobody thought was going to happen. But when you look at the strange correlation later on, it's really easy to look back and go like, oh, well, we got rid of the lead in the gasoline, so there we go. I don't know where Alyssa's going. She's leaving. She's bailing out on us.
I'm gonna go get some lead to drink.
She's gonna drink some lead. She's gonna come back with a bowl of hot lead.
I'm just gonna rage on everyone.
James Holbrook points out the plastic islands are crazy, and yes, I agree with you 100% on that. The plastic islands are just astounding how much stuff is going on with it. Codyson says, I hit the like button. Did you?
I did.
Did you?
I did.
All right, sweet. Anna Lee is here. I walk 200 feet to the beach for my saltwater. Easy peasy, no pollution here. Well, cool. I hope that there isn't any pollution where you're at, but if you're just getting it out of the ocean, it's definitely a good possibility that it could be polluted, like especially if you're that close to shore. But I do know some reef guys that actually take their boat out. They actually go way offshore and collect their water and bring it back, which seems like a huge pain in the butt for me because I just make mine. I filter my water from the tap. I mix my salt. I check it and make sure that the salinity is correct and add it in. And very rarely do I actually test for consistencies in calcium and magnesium and stuff like that anymore. I feel
like that's one of those things that you do as an excuse to take the boat out. Like if you have a boat.
Yeah, probably. You got to have a reason to have a boat.
Right.
It's a good point. Let's pop over to our Patreon posts of the day. We've got from Mr. Preston John himself. We've got our post here that took a frame from a video clip that shows the CPDs, the Celestial Pearl Danios or Galaxy Rasboras or the Margaritatas, as they're referred to. They have so many names. And by the way, one of my favorite fish that I haven't had in years and years and years and years and years and years, and I'm still got to try and get some from Preston. I got to figure this out because he's breeding them. He's got the tank raised ones, which I am like... You guys know me. I don't want that wild caught stuff unless I absolutely have to. Tank raised is my jam, but I really hope to get a big batch of these from Preston sometime.
It is a really pretty, very brightly colored CPD.
It's a cool fish. It's one of the coolest nano fishes. I would recommend it for anybody that has like a small freshwater tank. You have a planet tank, yes. Go for this fish if you can get a hold of it. They're typically pretty expensive in retail, though. Retail they're like $6.99 a piece or something like that.
Oh, okay.
$5.99 at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I was up at the co-op just the other day, and they had a bunch of these. These and what are they called? Gold ring Danios?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were very pretty, and I was tempted, but then I remembered that I don't actually have anywhere I could responsibly put them right now, so I did not get them. Sometimes sometimes you have to be responsible.
Speaking of new fish and being responsible, how are your new fish going? I already know how this is going. So,
Well, one of them did not make it.
Dope.
But the other one is eating.
mm-hmm.
And he's very clearly the male. So people who don't know, one of the fish that's on it's like a bucket list fish, I guess, is it's the L255 spotted Medusa pleco. They're on the CARES list. It's the only ancestress species on the CARES list. So they are an ancestress. They do get the bristly face.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with a Medusa with the big kite-shaped body, they're like that, exactly like that, but they also have bright white spots. They're very pretty. They're from the Rio Xingu. And the one that I suspected was a female passed away very quickly in my tank, which was not a thing that made me very happy. But the male seems to be pulling through and is excited about Rapashi, which is awesome. Makes it so much easier for me. And I just need to make sure that he gets nice and fat and healthy, and then run him through all the anti-parasite medications, and then start looking for another female for him. Yeah, I just need to one step at a time. I want to just get this one to hang on, live through the acclimation process of being in my tanks, and yeah. Unfortunately, what happened was I got like an ammonia spike because I was just doing 50% water changes, thinking that I would be able to stay on top of things. But there was like 2 parts per million ammonia, and apparently the female was not able to handle that. And yeah. So, and I'm not sure why there was 2 parts per million ammonia in that tank with the 50% water changes, but I suspect it's because I had started the anti-parasite medications, and that things had just gone out of control. Yep. Well, that's what that was. Are there any questions? Since I've been talking for a few minutes. Let's see. Yeah, lemon cakes is fine. Don't worry. He's on eggs right now.
Sorry, I had to pee real bad.
That's okay. We just chatted about plecos for like a minute.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to pee real bad. And I had to get a water because this coffee is the worst. I don't know what happened to it in the fridge, but something bad.
Yeah.
All right, where were we at? What were we talking about?
Well, I just did my whole spiel about my one pleco that did not make it.
Yeah.
And then I don't see any questions. All I have is Jake talking about my other pleco, who's internet famous now, lemon cakes.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's fine. He's on eggs, so there should be another like 100 or so plecos from him soon.
Soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's
Yeah.
been on that same batch of eggs for a good week and a half or so. So they're pretty close. I kind of flashlight looked in there, and all I saw was dark streaks. So I'm pretty sure that they're coming out soon.
Yeah. Jake D's asking, what do you deworm with?
Well, it depends on what symptoms I'm seeing. I'll start with general cure first.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the giant tub of it from the co-op. And then if things don't improve in a couple of weeks, then I switch over to levamisole, because different worms are affected by different medications. Yeah. That's all.
Pretty good. I dig it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cold and windy here. Oh, that's not a question. Dr. Black says it's hot and sweaty down there, which I
gross.
would imagine. Well, he's in Australia, so it's middle of summer now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
It's not talking about something else.
well, that's weird. You just go straight there. Weirdo.
I am a weirdo.
Hanging out at the beach is like swimming at the top of the protein skimmer,
Ew.
which is pretty true.
Ew.
Let's see. The counter argument is less that climate change isn't happening and more that it's part of the larger cycles and natural blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's the thing is that, like, the natural cycles don't happen in a 5-year span, or a 100-year span, or even a couple 100-year span. They happen in like 10,000s of years periods, and unless like an asteroid hits the planet, then it's real quick.
Yeah.
Which I still think that I'm with what's his name? I can't remember his name. What's his name? Is it Dr. Robert Schoch? I don't think that's his name.
I have no idea.
Robert Schoch. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, Robert Schoch is an American Associate Professor of Natural Scientists at the College of General Studies, Boston University. Since 1991, Schoch has been a proponent of the fringe sphinx water erosion hypothesis, which he thinks that the sphinx is much older than they actually think it is, or is newer. I forget. But I think his big theory is that there used to be like a jungle where the sphinx is and stuff. You definitely have to read his book to get through it. But yeah, he's one of those guys that claims the big flood basically came from an asteroid, and like him and Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson and Robert Bauval, I don't know how to say his name, Donald Prothero and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are kind of figuring out that we did get hit by an asteroid at one point, right? And
we've been hit by asteroids a couple times.
Well, the planet has, but we, humans, human beings,
gotcha.
right?
Okay.
As opposed to, Neanderthals or dinosaurs or any of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That as little as like 10,000 years ago or 8,500 years ago or something like that, like we got hit by a asteroid, which flooded and killed off, the millions and millions and millions of people that were here, and some of the sonar mapping and stuff like that throughout the Amazon jungle is starting to really kind of show some interesting stuff, that there were massive cities there at one point in time, and there's just like trees there now. And even with all of our technology and stuff that goes on, it's like there's just like trees there, so no one's ever been there before. And you're like, what the okay. But the weird thing is that like if the ocean just kind of went up by 5 feet, we don't see any of that stuff. We never see any of that stuff. We don't excavate the ocean. We don't know what's going on down there. They find all these weird statues that are just strewn about down there and stuff. And it's like, yeah, there have been other societies here. Other things have happened. I'm not claiming that I know any of them, but things have happened on this planet for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think the unfortunate thing is like we might be headed in that direction, but like self-propelled, which is kind of freaking me out. And I got a baby now, so it's even kind of freakier.
Yeah, it's
because I need you guys to at least hold this crap off for like 8 more years, so that Olivia's strong enough that she can swim or something, hunt a tiger. I don't know what she's gonna need to do, fight zombies. I don't know. But yeah, it's just like that. The natural cycles, with air quotes, are thousands and thousands of years, which won't have anything to do with this. Yeah. Joel G says, besides, the Anunnaki are going to save us. That Anunnaki stuff, I highly recommend people to get into that and look into it, because it's pretty funny.
I do enjoy the hidden archaeology kind of stuff. don't go crazy. I think it's hilarious, kind of like sci-fi.
It is sci-fi.
Some people think it's hashtag true facts.
Yes, well, some people think, yes, that there are people living inside the planet.
Yeah.
In the volcanoes.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. The Thetans. Are the Thetans trying to get us? Watch out.
Oh, but they're all over you. Sometimes they're not even on you specifically.
You better hold on to these cans.
God.
So we can
Oh,
get you back to zero.
I don't know. Should we move on? Fishkeeper has posted a thing.
I scrolled up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Should we move on? I don't know. What is this show supposed to be about? We only have 3 posts on the Patreon. So if we get through them too fast and don't talk about some conspiracies or theories or whatever, we're going to run out of things to talk about.
That's probably true.
But the Fishkeeperist, and hey, shout out to the Fishkeeperist for upping your patronage. I very much appreciate it. Doubled it, as a matter of fact.
Wow, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Up to $2 a month.
Heck yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Doubling it. That's 100%, right?
Yeah.
100% more patronage
Than previous.
That's
fantastic.
that's pretty phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Heck
that's
yeah.
a big percentage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Either way.
It's fantastic.
I was like trying to make it. Excuse me. Trying to make a joke, but you know, my audience is very limited right now. Okay. Fishkeeperist with a new edition. Been wanting some marble hatchets for years now. And you know what? Personally, I have never been a big fan of the marble hatchet fish. Just like, hey, personal preference kind of situation where people are like, I don't like peanut butter sandwiches, but I like peanut butter sandwiches. It's
Right.
just a preference thing. I think they're a cool fish. I just don't. I just have not enjoyed having the care of them personally, but I applaud and appreciate somebody wanting them for years and finally getting them. And then Ricardo Santiago down here, says, make sure you quarantine them. They're very fragile and finicky at first. Most are wild caught, and I only have 1 left after 10 of them.
Oh.
Have you ever had the marble hatchets?
I have never had any hatchet fish.
No?
Mostly because I like to research a lot before purchasing something. And everything that I've read has said, even if you have a covered tank, they're still going to find a way to jump out and land on the floor.
That's a good point.
But I get paranoid and assume that a fish will just find a way to jump out. And I have actually experienced that before. Like my male betta just found the smallest like pinky sized hole and jumped straight out of it and onto the floor. Couldn't find him for a long time and found him later. And there he was. And, I mean, I still have his babies, but still.
But still.
I would have rather have had the parents and the babies, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't like it when fish jump out. It makes me very sad. And that is one of the reasons why I've never had hatchet fish, even though I think these marble hatchets look really cool.
I mean, they look cool. I've never really enjoyed like their little personality.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they look cool. I think they're cool fish. Like, just personally for my taste, I'm like,
But
you're like
they're
always at the top.
They're
You're doing
like
a thing.
extremophile surface dwellers, so maybe they would be good with shell dwellers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they're definitely a good. They're great for being at the top of the tank. They're like always at the top. So they're a great addition if you have a bunch of stuff going on down below, like shell dwellers or something like that.
Although, do they take harder? I don't know. See, that's how little I know about it.
Ooh, that's the question. I would have to look up their water parameters because I don't know them that well.
Yeah.
And I never worked at a store that sold them.
Mm.
So I never had to field that question. So maybe we should have looked that up. But
That's one of those things I always see at like a PetSmart, Petco kind of situation.
yeah, they're like always there. And maybe that's my problem is that I'm like, oh, that's just super common, and you see it at Petco.
Oh,
Because I definitely have noticed that with a lot of fish and things. Like if I see it at the big box store,
yeah.
I'm
Zen
kind of like,
Ginger actually chimes in and says the marble hatchet fish is one of the Project Piaba fish.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So.
yeah.
So then probably not with Shelley's.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the I'm all for conservation and stuff. I don't know enough about Project Piaba to know if I should be backing it up or not.
Well.
But,
But
I
maybe they'd be good
always
with
have
the
I always have to find out the motivation and things like that. Like, I saw a commercial earlier today for the Wounded Warrior Project,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, it's like $20 a month to sponsor towards some soldiers getting help, which I feel like, yes, soldiers should be getting help, but I feel like if we're spending like $1 trillion a year, I think estimated is more like $1.4 trillion a year on our military. Why is there a
Why do we have to crowdfund from everybody else?
like why are we crowdsourcing for the soldiers who were wounded, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are they not being taken care of? Like, I don't understand what's going on, because I have a lot of veteran buddies, right? I have a lot of veteran buddies.
Yeah.
And most all of them, like, while they have some complaints about, like, maybe the VA is not as fast as they would like it to be, like, all the guys that I know that are wounded and stuff, like, they're getting a check, they're getting treatment, they're getting stuff going on. So, like, that's one of those things. It's like the Wounded Warrior Project, like, that seems like a good thing. But I'm also like, wait, where's this money going? Like, what's going on here? Like, it was like they had Trace Adkins, the country singer, was like the guy who was proposing for it, or like on the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, it seemed really fishy to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I assume that the Wounded Warrior Project is probably doing good stuff, but I just also wonder, like, where's all that money going? And I've known with not specifically that charity, but other charities I've investigated, you start to break it down where it's like 90 cents goes to like the CEO and the people running it and the advertising and all that kind of stuff. Like the Susan G. Komen Foundation, like those guys, they do for breast cancer.
Uh-huh.
Like, you find out like only 5% of the money that they fundraise or whatever actually goes towards researching breast cancer and stuff.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh.
So it's just an organization to collect money.
Yeah. Which is
for
weird.
Itself.
Which is why I'm always straightforward about my fundraising and being like, I do fundraising for this show so we could do more show. You know? Make more videos.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got the goal on the Patreon. If we hit that goal, then I'm responsible for making the makerspace, right?
Yeah.
That's how that works. There's a goal on there. If we hit that goal, then we make the makerspace.
Which would be super awesome.
Yeah, we should do that. You guys, we should do that.
I wish I was just rich.
Oh, Randall Bowman killing it with a $10 super chat. He asks, not home. What are my fish doing?
They're probably just sleeping.
My guess, they're probably just like swimming around doing fish stuff, looking for food. Because it seems to me that like the only creature that is more greedy than the dog and cat, like the domesticated dog and cat, is the aquarium fish. Like, they're just always in search of food. I don't get it. Like, you feed them and they're like, hey man, you got any food over there? Like, immediately right after, or during eating the food. Like, during eating the food, hey, do you got more food?
Yes, but that's also it makes for great photos too.
Here's what's
when you
crazy.
get, like pleco piles.
Here's
and
what's
stuff.
crazy. Like, my pleco wants to eat food all the time, right?
Yes.
But if or not my pleco, my puffer.
Them
My
too.
puffer wants to eat food all the time. But what's crazy is, like, if he eats a bunch of snails or something, then he's just like, I'm going to chill out now. So it's the only, like, monster with air quotes on it fish that I have that wants to eat and eats other critters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear, they eat like 5, 6, 7 snails or something. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to go over here and take a nap in these bushes. You know, you're like, oh, all right. Jake D says the makerspace, then a 20,000-gallon shipping container tank. Yes. And I literally had a shipping container company that was pestering me this morning.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, hey, man, we know you want a shipping container. We know you want a shipping container. We make them. What do you want with yours? Earlier today, like on Facebook, I had to block them.
Wow.
I had to be like, body block. I had to give him the karate body block.
Dang. That's
Karate
that's
body.
some weirdly specific marked advertising right there.
You know where we live, right?
Yes.
We live near one of the biggest ports in the world.
Uh-huh.
There's lots of shipping containers that come in and out of here.
Yeah. On my route home, I can see them with a big for sale sign on them.
That's why I got targeted, because I live near where the shipping containers are.
Oh.
And I probably looked at some ads,
Probably.
and they're like, we're going to blow you up in Messenger.
But currently, I've seen your property. I don't know where in the heck you would put one. So
Here?
yeah.
I could fit like probably 5 here.
Really?
Yeah, out back. In my,
In your yard?
no. In my parking area.
Oh. You don't need to park. You got a street for that.
Alyssa's confused.
I
She
am.
doesn't know enough about my property, and
It's true.
she's casting aspersions. But yes, I already have like I have a 50-foot run that's already laid out to put one out there, but I don't think I'm going to. I was going to, but now I'm not going to.
Just have a big old thing of water. Would be really cool though.
It's a giant tank, man.
It'd be so cool.
It would be cool.
Especially if you cut panels in the side with acrylic so you could see.
Yes. That's how you
Plans, dreams.
Yeah, but you're not doing that, and you just say you wish you were rich.
I did.
Yeah. Largemouth bass with a $5 super chat says, Happy Black Friday. It's crazy out there. That's why we're not going out anywhere.
Technically, I had to go out of my house to come here because I don't live here.
I ordered the new video card.
Oh, yeah.
That was my Black Friday thing.
I almost ordered something off of Amazon. But then I was like, oh no, the crowds.
Oh, the crowds on Amazon. But one of our sponsors does have a Black Friday deal going on, and that is the Aquarium Co-op. There's our referral link right there. If you go over to Aquarium Co-op, it's like 10% off. If you spend $150, it's 10% off, free shipping, and you get a free Murphy puffer pin.
Oh, yeah,
Which
yeah.
I swear I have one of those. I just have no idea where my Murphy puffer pin is. It's somewhere. I don't know. I set it down somewhere, and I have no idea where it is. So you get a free Murphy puffer pin, 10% off, free shipping, blah, 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 whatever, for that. At the Aquarium Co-op, they are affiliate sponsor, so if you go there and do that, blah, blah, blah. I noticed a bunch of people sent me messages that they're like, I'm going to order my Fluval 3.0 Lite because now's the best time. I could get the best price, free shipping, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's
Yeah, do it.
It's pretty much the best thing that's going to happen because of all the tariffs and nonsense that's going on. It's kind of the best price that you can get on those 3.0 lights. I use those on all my aquariums. I love them. I'm not sponsored by Fluval, although they did give me some lights at some point in time. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was sponsored by them. I wish they would cut us a check to do a bunch of projects, but they never have. To explain the story, I went to InterZoo, and we talked with some of the Hagen guys who own Fluval, That's so the bigger company above Fluval that owns Fluval is Hagen. I forget all of the stuff that they own. It's a whole bunch of fish companies and stuff. But we literally talked with one of the reps there and was like, hey, I'm setting up a new reef tank. I already have some of the freshwater 3.0s. I don't know if I want to buy the saltwater reef ones. And they were like, how many do you need? I was like, I need 4 of them. And they were like, cool. And that's basically how that whole thing went down.
That's awesome.
That's it. So it's not like a sponsorship or anything like that. They literally just the big guy at the company was like, cool, we'll get you 4 of those lights so you can set up your tank. Just make some videos about them, which I did. And that was pretty much it. There's no real sponsorship deal or anything like that. I would love to get sponsored by Fluval. I've never been able to have any big enough conversations with those guys to be like, hey, cut me a check and I'll do Fluval stuff, backflip for you. But I never have. So, and people have wondered, like, they're like, yeah, would you sell your soul? And I'm like, I would accept a sponsorship deal that was a reasonable sponsorship deal. Yes, I would do that. Yeah. I wouldn't do anything out of the realm that I would be cool with, you know?
Sell your soul for rock and roll.
Well, it's called, like, a record deal.
I know.
You know? You'd be like, oh, you make your records for Capitol Records now. You're not a musician anymore. You sold out. And it's like, I pay my mortgage with this money, so F off.
Right.
Listen to my guitar music or not. I don't want to, that's the kind of the deal. But yeah, no, I never got anything like that. But we do have, we're also an Amazon affiliate. The big Black Friday thing that I did was, all right, it's so difficult to be an Amazon affiliate because they make this, navigating this thing is so ridiculously hard. And of course it won't even load. Their website is just getting hammered today, I'm sure.
Probably.
It's like running so slow. Oh, and I have to sign back in. All right, F this, whatever. Below all my videos, we're Amazon affiliate. So if you feel like you want to go to Amazon for free, go through that portal. It takes you to Amazon, doesn't raise the price, blah, blah, blah. Supports the show. If you're going to buy stuff anyhow, like toilet paper or whatever, please do that.
Or a space heater.
Somebody ordered bio rings, and I got a bonus from somebody having bought bio rings through there. So it doesn't really matter what you buy. It doesn't change the price, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And you support that way, I guess. I don't know. VB23 says psychology is just a fun game about life, which is a good point. VB says everybody got to live. Sponsors are cool as long as there's transparency. Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of people like get super pissed at me because they're like, oh, Fluval sponsors you and you talk about their substrate all the time. I've never gotten a free bag of substrate from Fluval. I order it. I pay for it. It gets delivered to my house. I have to carry it from my porch out to my shop. It's not like they're sending me a bunch of free stuff. The only substrate I've ever gotten for free off the top of my head, I think Corey gave me a bag of substrate once or twice, which is just Corey giving me a bag of substrate.
I one time received a 2.5 pound bag of UNS Contrasoil.
I wish UNS would send me some of their stuff to test. I can't figure out who to email over there. This whole situation is stupid because I don't ever get approached for somebody to sponsor me. They're like, you need to send us emails and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you own the company. That's your job is to go find people that you're supposed to sponsor.
Right.
How does this work? Like, oh, I'm supposed to like beat your door down so I can advertise the stuff that you make while you have an advertising budget? This isn't my job. Who's your advertising guy? He's supposed to be contacting people. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
Can anybody tell that I'm a little bit frustrated about it? I'm a little bit frustrated, but I buy my own substrate. It gets delivered here or wherever, And then I try to make videos about it to help you guys. And then I get all these hate mail that I'm sponsored by Fluval. I'm like, they sponsored my reef lights. And we're not even talking about the reef right now. We're talking about their freshwater substrate, which I find to be the best value planted substrate around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then people will be like, yeah, well, mine was ruined after 6 months of use. And I'm like, well, I have a tank that has had the same stuff in it for 4 years, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, you're a hack. You're sponsored by them. Well, cool, man. Sounds like you're a happy person, and it's really fun that we got to interact this way. Where's the guy who actually does the sponsoring?
Right.
And then I just get depressed and then ban them. Just like the shipping container guy from this morning.
Yes.
So you see how that goes?
Yes.
And then people are like, "Oh, Joel's such a jerk," and I'm like, I'm a goofy guy. I'd like to have a good time. I sound kind of crass or whatever, but like, I like to have a good time. But what is it that like? Am I supposed to be a pushover? Or am I supposed to be just like super passive forever? Or what? Because I'm not going to put up with the nonsense. I don't have time for it. I'm too busy. I got a baby. I'll go hang out with my baby. And Vicky.
Mm-hmm.
And my fish. I got a puffer fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyhow, Johan, by the way, Joanne, I've reviewed the tape on how he says his name. Joanne is how he says his name.
Joanne.
But we would say Johan.
We would. But, so he's from the Netherlands.
Yeah. I was at his house.
And I think if it was, I don't know. Where does the Y for J come from? Is that Spain?
No. Sure. Johan is not a Spanish name.
I know. I'm just.
It's like
I'm putting too much thought into it. Never mind. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
you're like way out there
Yep.
in the world. Anyhow, he sends in the fish of the week, which is the fish of the week, the Periophthalmus barbarus, otherwise known as the Atlantic mud skipper. His mud skipper is a beast, by the way. His mud skipper is huge.
How big
So
is it?
big. So big. 100 feet.
Damn.
No, like 8 inches.
Aw.
It was a big mud skipper. I've seen lots of mud skippers in my day, and his is big. I'll just put it that way. The species occurs throughout most of the West African coastline, from Mauritania, I don't know how to, Mauritania, in the north, southwards as far as Angola. Habitat. Found mainly in mangrove swamps where it lives on and around mudflats at the water's edge. Some populations live in highly tidal areas where the flats are only exposed at low tide. The fish emerge to forage during these periods, retreating underwater to their burrows when the water level begins to rise. The maximum length, around 6 inches. The setup must have exposed land areas, a bank or beach made of sand, or mudflat mud is suggested, but you could use partially submerged bogwood. If you want to grow plants, use species that can tolerate brackish conditions, such as Rhizophora, aka the mangrove species, or perhaps Java fern, the Microsorum ptopterus, which I always say intentionally wrong, and somebody will get mad later, I'm sure, on the replay. The setup should have an efficient filter, as mudskippers are greedy, messy fish. Although the species has been recorded in both freshwater and full marine conditions, in nature it is primarily a brackish animal, which marine salt should thus be added to the water until a specific gravity of around 1.005 is achieved, which I found 1.007 to be better, personally. Any of the commercially produced marine salt mixes are okay to use. Water conditions. Temperature. Aim for air and water temperatures within the range of 77 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. pH 7.0 to 8.5. That's because of the brackish. Mud skippers will not do well in acidic conditions. Consider the use of crushed coral or other calcareous material to buffer the water if necessary. The hardness is from 10 to 25, which is fairly hard, especially in the freshwater. The diet feeds chiefly on crabs, insects, and other invertebrates in wild, but is surprisingly adaptable in captivity. It will accept live worms, crickets, flies, mealworms, beetles, small fish, crustaceans, frozen fare such as bloodworm or artemia, and even flake food. It is highly territorial with conspecifics.
Similar species.
Similar species, and should not be kept with small fish as they will most likely be eaten. Due to its highly amphibious nature, this must be one of the most interesting, endearing species that can be kept in the aquaria.
Plus, because they're super cute.
And they're super awesome.
Yeah.
I love mud skippers. I think they're fantastic. I love that Zenzo is keeping lots of mud skippers and making mud skipper videos now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, from Tazawa Tanks.
I'll
Shout
have
out
to
to
check it
Zenzo. Love that guy. He's had the mud skippers now for probably like 9 months, I would think. Like maybe a year. I don't know. He's had them for a grip, and he's been making lots of videos about them. But they are pretty messy because they eat whole foods. That's generally what it comes down to. Donald's Fish Vibe says, didn't realize those mud skippers were messy. Yeah, it's just because they're eating whole foods. So pretty much any fish that's going to eat whole foods like any kind of predatory fish that's going to eat like chomp, like whole shrimps and stuff like that, are just generally what's considered a messy fish. James Hollowbrook says, is it better to do Patreon or joining for $5 like I do at the Coop? What do you think?
They're both, they do equal things. The Patreon gives more of a kickback to the creator, and the joining the YouTube link tells YouTube that you like it. It's supposed to help more in that way.
All of those things. We appreciate any help that anybody can do to help support the show and stuff. So
whatever
they're
you're
just
more
both
comfortable.
They're both available for whichever you want. There are a lot of people that don't want to go to another website, so we made that available. YouTube clearly wants people to put their money where their mouths are on what they want to support. So if you want to become a member here, you could do that. You could become a member over on Patreon. Either way, it's fine. It's totally fine with me. They're both available for those pretty much reasons. VB says, wait, so if you click someone's link and browse somewhere else on Amazon, they still get the money? Yep. That is how advertising works on the internet. If you click on somebody else's, whatever stored cookie is going to be in your browser, that's how it's going to go. So if you accidentally click on, say, some kind of pop-up ad or something like that, and it redirects you, it'll most likely store a cookie, and when you go buy stuff on Amazon, it gives whoever that is credit. So these are some of the things about the internet that are kind of creepy and sort of pseudo-malicious and stuff like that, and it's what freaks people out, but that's how it works.
Yep, and that's why those ads that sort of follow what you've been looking at on Google and then populate on whatever web page you might be browsing on.
Like Facebook?
Or
for
YouTube?
Instance,
or YouTube, or just anything really if it's got Google AdSense. And then they'll say, oh, I know that you were looking at
surfboards.
Shoes or surfboards. Here's some surfboards on Amazon. And so what they do is they make money from the affiliate link. Yep. And that's the only reason why they pay to have those click-through ads.
Right. That's kind of the thing. Somebody was asking if Candy is lurking. I haven't seen her, so I'm unsure. I haven't heard from her in quite a while, so I don't know. But we do have moderators here like Dan and stuff, so no worries. Want to catch up on the
Donald
chat?
Wants to know if you still have those chickens.
Yeah. Yep. I still have chickens.
They're still out there clicking around.
Yep. Take care of them chickens, and they make eggs, and and feed them and stuff. He says, do you still have those chickens? Haven't seen your outdoor videos in a bit. Yeah, I haven't made very many outdoor videos or any of that kind of stuff. We didn't do the garden vlogs or anything this year, even though we were planning on doing it. But, honestly, we a lot to deal with the baby, like that's just kind of the reality. And as you guys know, I still have a job. I still have to go to work on top of this and all the other stuff I got to do. So, that's what it boils down to. Somebody was like, I wish you would make more YouTube videos. And it's like, I can't afford to make more YouTube videos. I can't just do a ton of stuff for free. I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't know if you all go to work for free and you're just like, nah, I just do it for fun. And
then later you want a hamburger, and the McDonald's is totally cool with just giving you a burger for free.
Yeah, and the reality is like, the garden vlogs, I like doing it. I would love to do more of it. But if you go through and look at the analytics and it's like, oh man, I spent $500 on a camera so I could shoot garden vlogs, and it made $1.48. And you're like, well, that's negative $498 basically. So it's like, I can't keep doing that. It's just kind of how it goes. Like a perfect example of that would be, I think I talked about this on Monday, so I don't mean to pound it into anybody or anything, but we did what video did I do? It was the Amania gracilis video, right? And so if I had bought those plants instead of getting sponsored by the Aquarium Co-op to give us 2 pots of a plant, I believe they sell for $8.99, so it's $9 times 2, which is $18. Add the tax in, which is $1.80.
So we're looking at
plus,
around 22.
So call it $20, right? And that video managed to pull down $2.10. So, even if I had just bought the plant and not included any of the other stuff that I have, the costs, right? It still would have made negative $18.
Yeah.
If I had just bought the plant and made all the stuff and then been like, well, I got to try and make $20 to pay for the plant. We didn't even do that. So that's just the reality. Like, I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying it's just the reality. Like,
but it's okay because Ginger Graves just gave us a $10 super chat.
A jumping cheerleader?
Yeah.
Sticker?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ginger. Ginger's always been like super supportive of the show and stuff. So I put Ginger on my short list of people that's like, yeah, I wouldn't even be here on November 11th, 2019. I probably would have quit if it wasn't for people like Ginger.
Yeah.
Like, I probably wouldn't be doing the show anymore. Like, honestly, I probably would have quit a year ago because I'd just been like, I got to go to work, so forget it.
Right.
like, I got to go work more. Like, I put Corey from Aquarium Co-op on that list. Like, Preston was on earlier. The Fishy Mailman, perfect example. Robert is a perfect example. Like, Alyssa is somebody who's been contributing for a long time. I don't want to pull up my patrons on here. Maybe if I go
name them all individually.
Let me see. Let me get a different. Oh, I know what I can do. Hold on. Let me get media files. Excuse me. Let's pull up this video. Then I can fill up this space. Then let me close this. Then I'll move it down here. Oh, there's Alyssa stretching. Yep. Excuse me. I've just been coughing a lot. I got that phlegm going. I drank that coffee earlier, and it is just like, I think that coffee is bad. I don't know.
Hopefully it doesn't make you sick.
I'm probably going to die.
Well,
Would be
eventually.
my guess. Okay, so now I can pull up my patrons, and I want to go lifetime. Fishy Mailman, Preston John, Barbara Jackson. Oh, I can't believe I forgot Barbara Jackson. Steven Scogland, Bracken Ward, Grassy Peak, Corey from Aquarium Co-op, Robert the Butcher, Dan Squires, Mike Howie, Vince Grippa. Thanks, Vince. James Hirsch. Who it's like, I hardly even hear from James, but he's just like an honest patron that's been like supporting the show. Chad Kratz, Alyssa, Fish Freak. Oh, they're not a patron anymore. Rob Hicks, Pamela Earlywine, Wyatt Ward, Ashton Fitzgerald, Long Wu has been here, been a patron for a long time. The Zombie Drummer, James Leiser, Bentley Pascal, which is
Pascal.
they're not a patron anymore. Emden Hollander was our very first patron. He's not a patron anymore, but he was our very first patron. He was my first patron ever. Frank Factor has been a huge supporter. Olympia Shrimps, Renee Hammer, Jake Hussey, Adam Michael, Victoria Villegas. Like, the list just keeps going, too. That's the crazy thing. Maritza Santiago, Alvin's Aquariums, Lucy Sylvester, Salvatore, Ginger Graves, as mentioned earlier, Edel Gonzalez, Handpan, Gene Fensky, Pete Berlinski, Ginny Landgraf, Rumbust has been a patron for a long time, Pax, Classical Aquatics, Michael Hoffman. See, like, the list just like keeps going, and I feel like I just want to say thanks to everybody.
Hey,
And
it goes along with the holiday we just had.
It's Thanksgiving.
Heck yeah.
It was Thanksgiving. So I very much appreciate it, so it's just one of those things. I don't know how I even got onto it. But it is Thanksgiving, and it's the last show of the month, so maybe that's why a little added spaz out about Patreon and stuff. Jay's Crazy Obsessions says, I really hope you get kickbacks from the Aquarium Co-op. They're an affiliate sponsor, so if you go through our tab and you go buy a bunch of stuff at Aquarium Co-op, they are an affiliate sponsor, and if you go through it and you go through our link, it does work. So it will work for however long the affiliate program is in action. It has been working, and I can check it right now. It's still live and it's still working. So they are an affiliate sponsor, but not only that, they've been big time supportive of doing the show and doing the channel and stuff. So we're down to 3:36. What did Alyssa want to talk about today? Do you have anything to talk about before we that you wanted to bring up, that you wanted to ask a question? Because you get to be here in person.
Oh, that's true. Are there any special care requirements for mono shrimps?
For a mono shrimp? Well, they're definitely like a mixed feeding scavenger.
Yeah.
So they're really not that picky about what they're finding, what they're eating, that kind of stuff. They're pretty easy to take care of. Annalie just says, I guess my Patreon contribution goes unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed. The list is 800 people long right now.
Right.
We have 256 current patrons, and it doesn't sort them out, so I'm having to read through the ones that are either declined or are no longer patrons and stuff, and I'm not going to read through a list on a show of 800 people and sort them all out. So it doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unappreciated. It just was going to turn into a super long
It's just that we're
hour-long
not
segment.
doing an 8-hour live stream.
Yeah, I'm not doing a Corey live stream where I'm just on for 12 hours.
No, we don't have a giant tank full of goldfish.
I don't have a giant tank of goldfish in the back. I don't have any tanks in my house, and I don't plan on changing that, at least at this house. Maybe if we move somewhere else, maybe we'll put one inside somewhere. I don't know, but don't think so. But the what was I talking about? Oh, the mono shrimp. They
Yes.
don't have like a lot of special care. The biggest special care comes in when it comes to breeding them.
Oh,
So
well, yeah.
be aware that like if you don't breed them, they will run through their lifetime and they will die. They will eventually get old and die. So be aware of that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing to think about. They get quite large and will probably climb out of an aquarium at some point. So be aware of that also, because they are quite grippy and strong shrimp, so they will climb out and go for a walk at some point, likely. And I think a big motivation of that is for the breeding factor, because I think they do reach a point where they really, really, really want to try and find another location to breed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they do need brackish and then full salt to breed, to send their eggs out, which isn't the most difficult thing in the world. If you are an experienced fish keeper, keeping a tank for them to breed is really not that difficult, because you keep them in fresh water, and you can basically see them get buried because they are quite a large shrimp. It's really easy to tell that they have. It's really easy to tell that they have eggs. Like it's one of those. Whoops, I'm moving the wrong thing, even though I clicked on this. It's really easy to tell when they have eggs and when they're trying to cut the eggs loose, basically. It's really easy to tell because they are so large, and once they're buried, it's very, very obvious that they have eggs, and you can allow them to kind of gestate for a period of time. I'm trying to recall exactly how long we would keep them while they were with eggs before we move them to another tank. But you want to keep a brackish tank that's heavy salinity, so 1.014-ish, but that's not full salt, but it's pretty heavy salinity. And you want it to be green water, so you want to have green, like brackish water. So you're going to have to dump a ton of light in there to get the algae bloom to happen. And you'll have all sorts of infusoria and all that kind of stuff that the babies can feed off of. That's the easiest way to do it. So use mature water that is cycled, that is that heavy brackish. And then once you do that, then you can get them to drop their eggs in there. They can become free swimmers. For them to become free swimmers, and then, them to be raised up that way. So it is a bit of a pain to breed them, but it's really not that difficult if you're into it. That's something that you're trying to do.
Right. I don't know. I had never had a mono shrimp before, and I decided that I wanted to try to have some, like get some shrimps that I wasn't going to try to breed, wasn't going to stress out about, and maybe be like ninja bad butts.
Yeah. The care is relatively easy on them.
But I put them into a tank. I put 15 of them into one tank, and I haven't seen them since. But they were smaller than they were like half the size of an adult Neo when I got them. So I'm like, okay, it's very possible that y'all are just going to disappear into this 20-gallon tank. And that is exactly what has happened so far. I'm assuming that they're probably still there because they don't have big predator fish in that tank.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, I would look around and figure out what's going on. I would look around and see what's going on in that aquarium, if they're still in there or not. But they are like big time climbers, so I would always check behind the tank, around the tank, see what's going on, because I've found a lot of them dried on the ground in my time. But I've also had like a copious amount of them over the years. Like, I've literally gotten to the point where I'd be like, I have no idea how many are in this tank kind of deal. But, so that could be a part of it. But I would also check that and double check the water parameters, because they can handle a pretty wide variety of water parameters. So I would never really call them too finicky.
Right. Well, the other aspect, too, is they're small and they're kind of clear right now. And I literally just put them into a tank that I don't sit there and stare at very much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible too that I just don't see them because I haven't been laying on the floor and staring at that tank very much. I just wanted to see how they would do and see if I could grow them into big shrimps. And
Big
then
shrimps?
start using them in tanks that have apistos in them.
Yeah, you can get them. You can get them there.
Yeah. I just need them to not be bite size. I need them to be ninjas.
Donald's Fish Vibes is asking, Joel, do you have merch? Yeah, we did have T-shirts and stuff like that. I honestly don't think that was the biggest thing that I wanted to continue doing, because we had like a Teespring account and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if I'm really into the whole merch situation. I might do some shirts or something like that again, but I'm just so torn between doing the merch, like actively doing all the design work and stuff like that, or even being involved in the merch at all, really. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Like, I have emotions right now, because the Teespring was fine, but I also felt like people got like a pretty inferior product from there. So yeah, I don't know. And I might print shirts someday, but I'm gonna have to print them ahead of time. And I know that there was an idea that like Aquarium Co-op would handle the shipping and stuff if I printed them. But I don't know. I don't know if that's still on the table or not. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Corey about it, and I haven't talked to him about that, because it's just personally, it just feels like a waste of time for me. That if I put like, let's say I put 1 day of work into it a week for a month to get it set up, and I think the last time I did merch, I think the last time I did like T-shirts and stuff like that, it made a total of, I'm trying to remember, $262.50. I remember seeing that number. And it was just weeks and weeks and weeks and constantly talking about merch on all the shows and stuff like that. And I already talk about the Patreon. I already talk about my website. I already talk about memberships. I already talk about Discord. And it felt like I was just talking about that shit all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was starting to kind of drive me nuts, because I was like, man, if people want to kick $1 a month, they could kick $1 a month. If you don't want to, you don't want to. And that's just kind of how it's going to be. But I might print some shirts at some point in time if I really had something that was just like, that's a phenomenal design and that's something that I really want people to be able to have. But I actually have to go somewhere, get those printed, get them delivered to the co-op, have all the sizes and all the colors and all that stuff. And it costs like, realistically, it costs about $5,000 to get all that stuff done. And then you have to try to make that money back. So that's kind of stressful. Jessica Taylor was asking, do I sell any of my art? Art is always for sale. If people want to commission it, you can. Terry's Tropical Tanks is saying, do you think I'll try another reef? I actually have a reef right now. I have a 60-gallon reef right now that's running, and I just don't really do much of anything with it, and it's getting kind of boring, and I'm probably going to rehome the stuff. Big D Smoke with a $10 super chat says, we're going to send a sticker, but YouTube really needs to step up their sticker game, which is a good point. Thank you very much for the super chat. James Hallbrooks with $5 super chat says, going to send this while I decide on member or Patreon. I've enjoyed you with Corey, and your videos are informative. Carry on. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate it a lot. Let's see. Okay, so we're coming up on the end of the show. We've got just a couple minutes left.
Green Ranger has a question.
What do you got?
He says, hello, Alyssa and Corvus. I have a 48-inch Fluval 3.0 on my 125, but it does not seem like it's enough to bring out the reds on my red plants. Do you have any suggestions?
My 150 I have a 150-gallon aquarium that has a 48-inch Flu Vol 3.0 on it. It has 2 of them. I think the 48-inch Flu Vol is about maxed out at like a 75.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the most that one light fixture. And, the unfortunate thing is that's pretty much any individual light fixture out there could really handle. Because even the more powerful ones are generally not a long strip, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be more of a focused, more powerful beam.
Small spotlight.
Small spotlight kind of situation, and they really couldn't handle much more than a 75-gallon. I think pretty much every light out there, the peak is pretty much 75-gallon is what one can do. I have 2 in this aquarium back here, which is 150 gallons. So my advice would be to just move up to 2 of them, and you'll definitely have enough light at that point to handle a 125. You eventually get to a point where you have so much real estate, you just don't have enough light to cover all that real estate. And the unfortunate side of that is that's just life, like it's just a life thing. There isn't much you can do.
And we're just kind of assuming that you're using some sort of iron source for your plants and all that other good stuff too. And if the limiting factor is the light, then yeah, you'd want to add a second light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's common that it's common that it's probably the most common problem other than lacking CO2 as far as a planet aquarium goes. If you have good light and if you have good CO2, you can generally get away with even just gravel for substrate. If you have good substrate and good light, you can generally not have CO2. If you have good substrate and good CO2, you could probably have kind of a lackluster light. It's sort of those 3 things is kind of what it boils down to. Those are the 3 that you want. If you only have 2 and they're, really high quality, then you can kind of go without the 3rd. But I just would spread my budget out across those as best you can, and go that route. And maybe not go with more high-tech plants until you have like more light and a CO2, and use some of the easier plants that can handle kind of wider range of less high-tech setup, I guess. I don't know. Easier plants, I guess. I don't know. All right, so that's going to be the end of the show for today. You guys didn't ask enough questions for Melissa that were interesting enough. Sorry. Did everybody hit that like button? Thank you very much if you did. Hit the dislike button. I don't know. Hit some button. I don't know. Who cares? Subscribe or something? I don't know. The Fish Tank Barn, thank you very much. Anthony Brown, Randall Bowman, Largemouth Bass, Ginger Graves, James Holbrook, and Big D Smoke for all of your super chats today. I very much appreciate it. I very much appreciate everybody for coming to participate in the chat. I appreciate that a lot, and I know Alyssa does too.
Yep.
That's the end of the show. So,